Hello, I'm Denny at Springfield Leather Company again. We thought we'd go one step further. We went through kind of a tooling process and a finishing process, but a lot of people are interested in lacing, so I thought I might give you a short lesson on how to do a double loop lace. And I'm going to use one of these rounders that we did last time. And I've already got one started here, but I thought I would show you how to punch the holes first off. I use a wing divider and set it to, I like probably 1/8 of an inch away from the edge. And I'll just take it and go all the way around this rounder. And then I'll use... First off, there's basically two different sizes of lace that most people use to do a double loop. One is a 3/32 and one is an 1/8 inch. The 3/32 most people use on a smaller project like this, but I'm going to use an 1/8 inch today simply because it'll be easier to see. And if you're a beginner, an 1/8 inch lace is a lot easier to handle than a 3/32. But I'm going to use an 1/8 inch chisel also. You want to make sure that you use the correct size chisel to correspond with your lace. I've got a 4-prong chisel here and a 2-prong. For doing a straight line, like if I was going to do a line across this, I would use the 4-prong where I could cover more territory at one time. But since we're going to be on a curve, if I used a 4-prong on this, there would be a flat spot every time I change positions. So I'm going to use a 2-prong lacing chisel here. But I'm just going to, like I said, I've already started. I've got most of the way around here, but I'm going to set this chisel in the last hole of that I punched here, and I'll use a maul to punch through it. And I'm just going to continue this all the way around. When you're doing something like this, you've got a 50-50 chance of coming out exactly right. Hopefully we'll be close. And that's pretty darn close right there. As you can see, we came out just almost an exact stitch length away from our first hole. So, that's all there is to punching the holes. Now I'll get a piece of lace and a lacing needle and start lacing this thing. Okay, to start off with, most of the time I will take a lace about an arm's length long. I've got a little shorter piece here because you aren't going to be watching this whole thing. But if you go much longer than your arm's length, you're pulling your lace through all the time. But I'm going to show you how to splice a piece of lace too, because you aren't going to be able, if you took a piece of lace that would cover this whole deal, you would probably be you would probably have an 8-foot piece of lace, and you would spend most of your time pulling that lace through. The way you measure how much lace you will actually need, it depends on the thickness of your leather and how tight a stitch you're going to be pulling, but generally from 7 to 9 times the actual length that you're going to be lacing. So if I was lacing a 12-inch piece, I would need 7 to 9 feet of lace. But anyway, our first lace, it really doesn't matter where we start. But I'm going to start like this, and I'm going to have the actual flesh side of this lace, which is the inside of the lace, facing up. And you always lace from your finished side. So I'll pull that lace through, and I'll leave myself a couple inches there, but I'm going to twist it over here, and I'm going to hold it on the back with my fingers to get this started. And starting your lace and ending it are the two most complicated parts, but there's really not much to it. But I'm going to go to this next hole and pull it through, still with the flesh side up. So when I pull it around and pull it snug, I've got the grain side out. But if you'll notice here, I've got a hold of that initial piece of lace with my finger, and when I came around, I created a cross there. And that's called the bite. And there are basically only two moves to this. You go through the hole, and then you come back around, keep your lace straight, and go through that bite, which is you go under that little cross that you've made. Now, if you see here what I've got, but I'll take and I'll pull this through, and I'm not going to pull it real tight. I'm just going to pull it snug, because when you come all the way around and get back to this point, you're going to have to get into it and put your needle through this place. So if I did it very tight there, I would have a lot of trouble later on. But I've gone through that bite. Now I'm going to go through that next hole. And if you'll see now, I've created another bite. So my next move will be to go under that bite again. And I just continue that all the way around. Go through the hole, then I go through the bite that I create. And after I've done that first lace, I can let go of that little tab that I had on the back. I had to hold it to keep it in place while I got started. But now I'm going to go through the bite again. But if you'll notice, every time I let go of the needle and pick up my lace again, I run my fingers down all the way to the end so I can keep that lace straight. I don't want to get it twisted. But I'm going through the bite and through the hole, and then through the bite. Now I'm going through the hole. And that's all there is till you get all the way around. And when you're almost out of lace, which I'm going to show you here in just a minute, I'll show you how to splice it. All right, pretend you've watched this whole thing where I've laced all the way around to this point. Now I'm getting, just say I'm out of lace right here, and we're going to splice in a new piece. And the way we do that, there's two pieces of leather here. So we just separate those two pieces. And when we come around here and go through the hole, instead of going all the way through like that, we'll just go through this the finished part, that part right there. We'll pull that through, snug it up. Then I'm just going to clip that off, leave a little bit that way. Now I've got a new piece of lace already made here to speed things up. But we'll go through this the inner lining part from here, pull that through, leave about the same amount. Okay, now we'll come back and go through our bite. Right there. Then I'm going to take and clip this off and leave just a little bit of a reveal there. I'll take my fid and I'm going to tuck those two pieces back down in there. so they're below the surface. Now I'll come around with this lace and go through the next hole, just like a normal stitch would be. Then I'll go through the bite. And then you just continue lacing just like nothing ever happened. You'll never see that the start and the finish of your new lace and your old lace. A lot of people used to actually skive down the ends of the old lace and skive down the end of the new lace and cement them together. And you can sure do that, but this is so much easier, and actually it's less visible. Now I'm just going to go ahead and lace on around here because we're almost to the end. If you have trouble getting your needle to go underneath that bite, don't try and force it. You just got to kind of work your way through there. If you force it, you're going to be tearing the leather, and you aren't trying to do that. Main thing is just be consistent with the tension that you put on it, how tight you pull it. If you start out lacing really, really loose, just do that all the way through. If you start out lacing pretty tight, do that all the way. Some people are a little heavier handed than others. I like to have mine fairly snug, but I don't want to make it just tight. Okay, I'm going to go through this bite, and then I've got one hole left, which I'm going to do just like a normal lace. I'll go through the hole, and I'm going to go through the bite. Now I have no holes left, but this lace here, which is where we started, comes through the front right there, and I'm going to pull that back out. And I'm going to pull it through the back side. And I'm going to pull it back through the front. Then we've got an actual open loop there. Now I'm going to take and separate the outside, the finish side, and the liner, and grab that piece of lace and pull it through. You want to be careful and not pull that loop through. Now that I have that, I'm going to clip it off. Just leave myself just a little bit. I'm going to tuck it inside. Now, if you look, since we took those two pieces of lace out, we've got two holes on the front left, and we've got one on the back. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to come around and then do one more lace. But I'm not going to go through the bite on this yet. What I'm going to do is I'm going to come up through that loop that we have left. Not pull it very tight at all, and go through our bite. And then I'm going to come around and go through the front of that loop just like that. And I'm going to kind of work that around and kind of take up some of the slack. I'm going to pull this on through. That's one reason you want to start out fairly loose when you first begin. All right, now we've got that, and we've got one hole left. So what we want to do is go through that hole and then come out like that on the back side, and just clip that off. if you'll see there. Now people will have to work really hard to see where you started and where you stopped. The last thing that I'm going to do, I'm going to set this on my piece of granite and just take a regular hammer and tap that down all the way around. What that does is it flattens out your lace, makes it nice and smooth, makes it feel good and look good. And there you have it. Thank you.